Namaste, Jai Bharat. Today is 15th August, and the 15th August is the Independence Day of Bharat. Independence, rightly said, is that we were compelled to be dependent on the colonial aggressors and then obtained independence. Yesterday, Pakistan celebrated their day of separation. They call it as Independence Day, but actually it's a day of their separation from Bharat. They have compulsorily separated from Bharat because they thought they are Muslims and they can't exist with the Hindus primarily in this context and non-Muslims in general, as it is understood by many of or at least some all over the world. They go to UK and ask people to quit England. They go to Germany and ask people to vacate just because they multiply. They think that the land belongs to them because they are in numerical majority. Yes, that is what we are seeing throughout the world. So, independence in other terms is understood to be freedom. And when we talk about freedom philosophically, we can talk about two types of freedom. One is freedom from, and another one is freedom to. Freedom from is a freedom from coercions, compulsions, and other external forces operating on people. And freedom to is freedom to overt action. Normally, people think freedom means freedom to act, freedom to do what I feel like, freedom to dress as I feel like, freedom to do this as I feel like or think one feels like. I must have freedom to food, I must have freedom to dress, all those things. Those who speak a lot about freedom to dress normally goes under hijab. Now, this is the irony of it. So, the freedom which we talk about is freedom from all kinds of coercions, compulsions, and dependence on someone else's rule. It's miserable when somebody else is there to think and decide matters of facts for you. You have no say. You have been put to the whims and fancies of someone else who has really nothing to do with understanding you. That's the most miserable aspect. Now, to get this freedom done, to win this freedom is supposed to be won. To win this freedom, many people have laid down their lives. Many people from all corners of Bharat, they laid down their lives, and many were willing to lay down their lives, and they went to forefront. And there were people who took leadership, and great people who had put everything, their heart and soul, in the making of Bharat. And one person that we can't forget is in independent Bharat, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Sardar Patel. He is the one who had united Bharat from quarreling princely states and people who are contemplating to be independent. Now, when the British were forced to quit, some areas they wanted to remain autonomous in the sense independent. They didn't want to join Union of India of those days. They didn't want. They wanted to be separate. Because these things are all the whims and fancies of rulers who are otherwise monarchs. There was no democracy. They never thought in terms of democracy. They didn't want to stay with Bharat because they thought they would continue. Except Raja Hari Singh of Kashmir, who voluntarily joined, But others, many, decided not to. But then there were other ways led to join the Union of Bharat, like the Hyderabad Nizam, Junagadh, and many like that. So freedom has to be won, and our generations of today, I wonder how much they understand of the sacrifices made by their ancestors. It's very strange to see that many people in many places don't really know their ancestors. And if you if you choose not to know your ancestors, that's a choice. But if you happen to think in terms of your ancestry and your ancestors, your yesterdays and your Sanskriti, then I would say people of Pakistan today should know their ancestry. Islam has come to Bharat much late. Much late. When you talk about the lifespan of Bharat, we don't know when it begins. How ancient it is, we do not know. But Islam is very recent. It's only after the Qasim's attack of Sindh, these things took place in Bharat. And it's only with the coming of the Mughals as invaders and subsequently settlers, the phenomenon of Islam becomes forced upon the people of Bharat. In most cases, I wondered, was there anyone who volunteered to become a Muslim wholeheartedly? I really don't know. I really don't think so. For many people, there are different types of compulsions to opt for a religion which they have nothing to do with, or they had nothing to do with. And for many people, it was the imposition of a tax which a non-Muslim has to pay jizya. And there must have been various contexts in which one becomes converted to Muslim or Islam or even any other religion, except in Hindu Dharma, there is no conversion. The people becoming Hindu spontaneously, as we see some people with the ISKCONs and etc., they volunteer. Many celebrities in European nations choose to be Hindus, and there is no such ceremony like initiation ceremony, etc. But other religions, they do have such initiation ceremony into their religion. So these people in Pakistan, they chose to ignore their ancestry, and to also chose to hate their ancestry. When you hate Hindus, then it is hating your own ancestry. So chose to hate their ancestry and chose to feed hatred and nourish hatred so that it gets flourished in the minds of people. And the history book says very interesting thing about the independence or freedom of Pakistan. They think that they have won freedom. They propagate they have won freedom. They say आज़ादी से पहले मुसलमान भारत में हिंदुओं का गुलाम रहा. This is how the history book was. Prior to independence, the Muslims were slaves of Hindus in Bharat. I wonder if any Hindu will ever understand this phenomenon. He will be rather shocked to hear that the Hindus had kept the Muslims slaves. Actually, the phenomenon was different. Those who were rulers, Muslim rulers, the Mughals and the Allied, they kept the Hindus as their slaves. Slaves in the sense not literally, subjugated Hindus, and they obtained the jizya, tax for remaining a Hindu. These are there. But their history begins like this. What more you expect from a neighbor who is from birth taught to hate Hindus in particular, and also given their book, the Jews. And these are the two people they hate, and then subsequently they would hate anyone who is not they themselves. That is what it boils down to. Except me, I hate everyone. That's what it boils down to. You look at the world, I need not to say anything more. So, this freedom we want, and those got into uh, parliament as members, got elected through this political party or that political party. Many of them we find abusing what the kind of trust people must have laid on them. People must have laid on some trust on them to elect them, or must have been misled to think that this person should be the appropriate person. Etc. A lot of stories behind it, and it's not simple. It's a caucus internationally operating to get their henchmen planted in parliament or authority, as it happened in Bangladesh. The such people in international level, they do all plannings and programming to get the people ruling areas which they wanted and under their control. All kinds of political reasons, etc. But then I would say these people are real sinners because of their selfish objectives of obtaining some authority, which is definitely temporary, not long term. Uh, they have killed many people, and devastated many people's lives. If they think about it, they would not go for these things. Unfortunate. So there are this opposition in parliament. He has of late, recently, became absolutely irresponsible, ignorant, and thereby irrelevant to the nation. I don't know, and they still hope that somebody was telling, some in the opposition was telling the next year somebody else will stand and hoist a tricolor flag. They had been telling that, and they had been dreaming for it, and they had been undergoing utter frustration because they were not able to do it. And what do they want to do to the nation? They have no idea. To come into power, how they are going to do good things to nation or positive things to nation, they have no idea, and they cannot have idea because their thoughts are disintegrated. Absolutely, they have nothing to think in terms of Atma, the Bharata of Bharat. The thoughts are disintegrated, except on one point, that somehow they wanted to be in authority, because right from childhood many of them were dreaming to become something. Anyway, this is the day of independence, of freedom. We want freedom from compulsions, coercions, and many varieties of subjugations to obtain a freedom to do what we want, and let us do things upon consciousness, conscientiously, with dharma, thinking, understanding, then doing, and let's be very sure that in our any step nobody and nothing is disturbed. I mean, nobody means not only human being, all beings, living and non-living, of the entire cosmos. Do not disturb the balance of nature. We are a part of nature in an inescapable manner, and we have no right to create any kinds of disturbance in the epistemology of coexistence, as the Veda Upanishadic knowledge tradition says, in the coexistence of the cosmos. Till we meet again, Namaste, Jai Bharat, and Jai Shri Ram.